So you think Logi frigates are not for solo PvP? Think again. And enjoy my solo fights in faction warfare with the Kirin, a Caldari Logistics Frigate. I enjoy crazy fits, I enjoy solo PvP, and I'm always trying to get the maximum out of any frigate. Well, my very first fight I got lucky because I immediately got a Taranis. And I was hoping, of course, it would be micro warp drive fitted. And I'm even forgetting the scram here. But should be fine as long as I remember to actually get a point on it. Because Taranises tend to be micro warp drive fitted. And this one doesn't have a web, it has double tackle. Probably thinking I'm in an easy prey. But as you can see, my shield is barely moving, and that's because Taranises tend to shoot kinetic and thermal damage, and I am a Tech 2 Caldari ship, and Tech 2 Caldari ships all have increased kinetic and thermal resistances, so he's hitting my strongest resist. Fortunately, he has a friend, and that friend is hoping to assist him, of course. And for me it will be interesting if together they can do enough damage to break my shield tank. As you can see, the Taranis is tanking fine. I have forgotten to launch my drone. This is my very first fight. I still have to get used to that the Kirin even has a drone. So I'm doing about 80 DPS maximum, and an ancillary armor repairer can easily tank that. But fortunately it seems that his nanite paste is gone by now, so I'm finally gonna to start through his structure. As a Galantis ship, he has a fairly high structure, so it will take some time, and my shield is actually at 60% now, but as the peak recharge rate is at 30%, I'm not worried. They won't be able to break me even if I let them shoot at me for 10 minutes straight. So it's all to do is killing the first Taranis and hopefully switching fast to the second one before it gets out of there. Because if he's a smart guy, he would have been gone already. But perhaps I'm thinking, as my rockets are almost gone, perhaps he has a reship and his friend will reship quickly into say a faction destroyer that will also be able to come into this advanced small plex. So I'm hoping to kill him soon. That's why I'm overheating my ammo to kill him as quickly as possible. And fortunately I'm using the drone. So time is of the essence here. I don't know if they have any reinforcements coming in. This second Taranis is also tanking fine, but as soon as his pace runs out, you can see I'm taking him out. And his maximum speed is like 290, while mine is 440, so he can't get away as much as he tries to. So, and that was nearing the end of my first fight, a successful trial flight of the Black Unicorn. Good fight, people. I uncloak near the Aga-Gate and I see a Firetail, and since I am a logistics frigate I should be considered very vulnerable, so I'm just slow boating back to gate, hoping to draw the Firetail in, and it engages. So I get my web and point, trying to getting on it and see what it's doing. Of course, it's near a Stargate in a busy system, so I always have to take care for reinforcements. So if it's all possible, I'm trying to stay relatively close to the Stargate to de-aggress if it is necessary. The Firetail is using autocannons and he probably has hail loaded. Hail is explosive and kinetic damage, and shields are of course best against explosive, and my T2 resist giving me extra resistance against kinetic, so he's hitting me in really strong resists, especially because I am carrying a multi-spectrum analyzer. Then a friend of him joins the fight, and a catalyst navy who is known to be able to do upwards of 600 DPS with blasters. So I decide to go back to the gate and de-aggress and see if I can tank them for long enough. As you can see, my shields are still fine, and unfortunately after the catalyst navy even more of his friends come in. So it was a good idea to de-aggress. My aggression time is almost over. I'm staying a little bit longer to see how much my tank can really take. As you can see there, even a Strateos is coming in now. But I'm jumping out. Okay, with one test against a catalyst navy, it's perhaps a good idea to test another. I'm fairly confident I can survive 300 DPS even of, I mean 600 DPS even of a blaster catalyst. So come on, get me. Just load your void and give it to me at close range. My DPS is fairly horrid, especially as I'm using explosive rockets and fusion against his shields, but I'm hoping, or at least I'm considering, he will be armor tanked, so my damage will pick up as soon as I get through the shields. And of course, initially again I forget to launch my drone, something that happens to me more often than I would want to in this new ship. But as you can see, my shields are barely moving from this catalyst going at me full blast, but a friend of him in a Rapier comes in, which is unfortunate. But as you can see, the catalyst has only 175 speed, so he won't be able to get away from me. But as soon as the Rapier webs me, I'm going down to say 60 speed or something. So I'm fairly helpless. I can't catch the catalyst. He can disengage whenever he wants, and the Rapier is trying to hit me with his drones and his weapons as well. I was trying to overheat the guns just to see if I can get the last shot on, but he's both repairing, and I know catalysts have a fairly good hull H point, so I'm already resigned not being able to get him. So I might as well engage the Rapier while the catalyst moves away and takes some distance. As you can see, the shields are still holding fine. Of course, the bigger drones, the hammerheads, won't always be able to do the same damage, but I'm fairly happy I'm at least surviving a catalyst and a Rapier, and I'm also seeing the catalyst is now at 35 km and the Rapier doesn't have a point, so time to get out before more reinforcements come in. So that was quite an exciting fight, but after two basically draws where I weren't able to kill my target, I'm hoping to catch one now. I'm really hoping this Wolf is micro warp drive fitted, but most of them are, since they are fairly speedy, and this one is artillery, I mean autocannon fitted, and he probably has hail loaded as well. It's kind of the default ammo. Most people load their highest damage ammo as default, and some more experienced PvPers prepare their ammo for the lowest resist. But I don't think, since nobody flies a Kirin in PvP, in solo PvP, people don't exactly know what to load in advance, so he probably just has his hail loaded. And a wolf can do a fair amount of damage, and you see my shields going down to about 70%, but they sort of stick at that. He's neuting me though, so what I immediately do is turn off my multi-spectrum hardener. I want to keep a point, and the multi-spectrum hardener is taking a lot of capacitor, even though the Kirin has a good capacitor reserve. But I don't want to lose this kill, and even without the multi-spectrum I should be able to tank his damage fine. But he has an active armor repairer as well, so he stops using his neutralizer, probably because he needs to tank as well, so I can re-engage my multi-spectrum. And this is all going fine. I'm just enjoying the sights and taking a close-up of my enemy, and enjoying the beauty of Eve while slowly killing him, and occasionally maybe clicking on directional scan, hoping no reinforcements come in. That's always a risk when you have a ship like the Kirin with like 100 DPS maximum. That's not a lot of DPS, and it will take you 1 or 2 minutes to chew to most hostile frigates, and 2 minutes is a really long time in faction warfare. People will often go and take a look, or they will call in reinforcements once they know they can't kill you. But fortunately this guy doesn't, and I'm able to slowly grind him down, even though his repair is working overtime. And that's almost the end of him. Good fight, man, good fight. Okay, before we do the next fight, let's talk some stats. Let's see what the Kirin really is and what it can do. Of course, you always look first at the roll bonuses and the specific skill bonuses a ship gets. And in our case, it gets mostly useless bonuses for solo PvP, as it gets a 10% bonus to remote shield booster amount and a 20% reduction in remote shield booster activation cost per Caldari Frigate skill. And as Logistics Frigate bonus, it gets a further reduction in the shield booster duration and activation, which is totally useless to us. However, it has a fourth bonus, which is a 7.5% bonus to shield hit points per skill level. So it's like a 35% bonus, well, a 37.5% bonus at level 5, which is kind of huge. It's a huge shield bonus, and that is one of the ship bonus we are going to make use of. But that's not the complete picture. A lot of people stop by looking at the roll bonuses and try to fit a ship that way, but I always say you have to look at all the ship's strengths. And here is a comparison of some relevant stats of the Kirin and other typical ships you find in faction warfare. As you can see in the power grid, the Punisher is by far the leading frigate, but the Kirin is fairly good. It has more power grid than, say, a Rifter, a Comet or a Hookbill, so it has a fairly decent power grid. With regards to CPU, Kirin, because it's a logistics frigate and it has to fit normally those CPU intensive remote shield boosters, it has a lot of spare CPU. As you can see, it easily tops the Hookbill, the Comet and the other frigates. This is fairly useful as it allows you to either fit a lot of electronic warfare if you want in your mid slots, but a lot of shield mods are also fairly CPU intensive, but you will have no problem in fitting those. With regards to shield hit points, the Kirin is fairly decent. It doesn't have the raw shield hit points of the Hookbill of the Wolf, but it comes fairly close with 936 hit points. and this is without counting any skills. So the 37.5% bonus comes on top of it if you actually have the Logistics Frigate skill to 5. As you can see, it's still a considerable amount of shield, and with regards to capacitor, it beats all the other frigates by a fair margin, again because it needs to have some reserves for the shield boosters, but that just means you won't run out of capacitor to power your multi-spectrum shield hardener, which normally takes a lot of capacitor, and you won't be as vulnerable to neutralizer fits as well. With regards to speed, it might surprise you that the Kirin is actually faster than, say, a Rifter or a Hookbill, and it's almost as fast as a Wolf or a Comet. So with regards to speed, especially for a Caldari ship, the Kirin is fairly fast. It has a fairly good base speed. And one of its biggest strengths, which the Hookbill is kind of famous for, the 5 mid slots give the Hookbill a lot of flexibility and a lot of different options, but the Kirin has the same slot layout. It also has 5 mid slots, 2 low slots and 3 high slots. So with that regard, it can also compare itself with the very best. So this is the actual fit that I'm using. I'm using 3 of my mid slots to give me some tank, putting in Republic Fleet medium shield extenders for the extra hit points, plus a multi-spectrum hardener and some tackle to actually kill people in PvP, since my damage is quite pathetic. But the low slots also help me tank, with a damage control giving me some extra resistances, and a shield power relay increases my shield recharge rate. Because in PvP you often have to choose either between a big buffer tank, a big buffer of hit points, or a big active tank, which often takes a lot of capacitor, a lot of slots. But if you have enough shield extenders and also other kinds of things that help you recharge your shields, those slots can actually combine both aspects of tanking. You can have a buffer and a fast regeneration. You can see that here I have also small core defense field purchase, which also help me to increase my shield recharge rate, which means my shield recharge rate is 64 hit points per second. These are not effective hit points, these are raw hit points. So you have to multiply them by the resistances, which you can see are fairly high. Of course, with nothing else to overheat, you can easily overheat the multi-spectrum hardener, giving you basically 75% or more resistance on average, meaning you can multiply this amount by 4 to see about how much you tank. So about 40 DPS incoming I can tank permanently in my highest resist. Additionally, I have a lot of buffer. I don't have a lot of DPS, non-overheated, yeah, a measly 100. But if you compare this tank ability to other ships, well, how then does this Kirin compare to other typical ships with regards to tank, you say? Well, I've split it up in 2 different. You can fly the Kirin normally, or you can even make them more powerful by equipping high-grade Nirvana implants, which increase your shield hit points. I'll compare them both. At the start you can see without the implants the Punisher, if fitted for full tank, just beats the Kirin. Both have cruiser level effective hit points, and those 2 frigates are miles above typical Wolf, Comet, Rifter or Hookbill fits, which top out at perhaps 10,000 effective hit points. But as you can see in the second column in the repair for shield and armor, you can see that Punisher sacrifices an active tank. It has 0 active tank, and the other ships do have an active tank, but they top out about 80 DPS when overheating their repairers with nanite charges, and they can only last for about half a minute 40 seconds before their nanite paste or their capacitor or both run out. So they have a very limited time that they can tank. The Kirin, on the other hand, even without the high-grade Nirvanas, it can permanently tank 200 DPS without a problem. And that is coupled with like a huge buffer. So even if a blaster comet hits it with 300 DPS, it will still take the blaster comet at least a few minutes to actually kill the Kirin, and in that time the Kirin can do enough DPS to actually kill the comet before it gets killed. If you add high-grade Nirvanas to that, it becomes impossible for nearly all frigates to kill the Kirin, because it can permatank 350 DPS, and in addition it has almost 30,000 effective hit points, meaning that even a frigate that somehow does 400 or 450 DPS, it will still take more than 5 minutes to kill it. So basically, in a 1 versus 1 situation against most frigates, it will be immune. It cannot be killed. You will need more than one frigate. So now it's probably a good idea to show you some more combat footage against high DPS opponents, as well as multiple frigates. At first here I encounter a Thrasher Fleet issue, which are also known for their DPS, especially if they have auto cannons fitted. They should be doing upwards of 400 DPS, and this one is fortunately auto cannon fitted, so it's a good test. This time I remember to actually get my drone out, and the hostile NPC cruisers also help the Thrasher Fleet a little bit. Of course, as usual, most Thrasher fleets, especially when a puny logistics frigates come in, they will have their hail preloaded to totally destroy them once they come in. But as this Thrasher fleet issue pilot discovers, it's not doing anything. It's barely scratching the shields, and it's probably the player must be getting desperate now and wondering what's happening here, and am I being tracking disrupted? Do I need to maneuver better to let my autocannons hit? What is going on? Hopefully maybe he's actively shield tanked and he will run out of capacitor, and I have no idea what the Kirin really does. And in the meantime I can enjoy the sights while I'm slowly killing this Thrasher. Thrasher fleets usually have a lot of effective hit points, especially if they have hull rigs. They easily get over 10k effective hit points, but they rarely have any active repair. So it's just a question of time before I kill it. So the only danger is friends coming in. I'm in Essur, which usually doesn't have too many enemies coming by. So I'm enjoying seeing all the rust burning up, while enjoying a little bit of relaxation in my shield tanked Kirin. And of course, who doesn't love to see a few nice explosions and some rockets killing the evil Minmatar. I think he even swapped ammo there. I saw him briefly de-aggressing, but it's far too late for him. So I see a Republic fleet Firetail and a Comet on my D-scan. So probably good idea to take two at the same time. If they manage to output enough damage, they should be able to kill my tank, but they have to do it in time before I kill one of them. It should be an interesting challenge, I think. They should be able to do, especially if the Comet is blaster fitted, upwards of 500 DPS, which should be enough to break my tank. But once I come in, I see that it's one foul Minmatar, but also one evil pirate. And usually, when I have the choice, I attack the pirates above my Minmatar opponents. So I engage the Comet. And the Comet is already doing pretty well against the Firetail. But with my help, it's going down fast. And then a Slicer comes in, my favorite ship really. But apparently the Comet was working together with the Slicer to lay a trap. And they managed to kill the Firetail, but I stay on the Comet and I hope I can keep it close, because if it's afterburner fitted and has a web, I won't be able to. But fortunately I just see a Scram coming in, and then I see a NOS coming in, which is typical for Comets, 2 high slots with guns and a NOS, and I do my best to stay as close as possible. But then oddly I see a neutralizer coming in and I'm like, what's going on here? Who's neutralizing it? Certainly not a Slicer with its cut dependency. But apparently we are dealing with a tackle Comet with just one gun and a neutralizer and a Nosferatu to help tackle down and survive long enough for his Slicer buddy to come in and make the kill. In this case, yeah. My cap is slowly going down due to the combination of a NOS and a Newt, and I'm wondering if I should disable my hardener. But the Comet is almost down, maybe a little bit of overheat, and then I should be safe, because Slicers rarely if ever have a neutralizer. I do have a Slicer fit with 2 neutralizers and 1 gun, since Slicers also have a very good base capacitor, but most Slicers don't. And this one is probably also micro warp drive fitted. So you should be able to take him down no problem. Even though the Slicer is firing into my weakest resists, which is of course EM and thermal. Well, mostly EM. My EM resist is below 50%, which means I take about twice as much damage from EM, electromagnetic, as other types of damage. That means other types of damage I can maybe tank 400 DPS, but EM damage I can tank only 200 DPS. But yeah, for this Slicer he simply can't do enough damage. I'm also orbiting him close, and Slicer guns are notoriously bad at tracking, so I'm mitigating damage as well. So I'm just enjoying the images while I'm basically orbiting on autopilot and enjoying the custom skin on my black unicorn Kirin vessel, which Kirin always reminded me of a kind of Eastern unicorn. That's why of course I called it the black unicorn, especially black, because it's doing something it's not supposed to do. It's doing solo PvP. In any way, the Slicer has switched crystals, or switching again, or switching my drones. You see him locking off or locking on. But yeah, another good fight, another victory for the black unicorn. In Amamake I encounter a Rifter, and of course a Rifter shouldn't be any problem. A Rifter won't be able to get through my tank in time. Then again, a Rifter is almost always Scram afterburner web fitted, so I won't be able to hold him close to me anyway, so he should normally be able to fly off, warp off, when he figures out that he can break my tank. So it's more of a practice fight really than me hoping to score a kill. But it's Amamake, and there's usually other people around and often other people coming in. But I'm in a scout advanced, so there should be no fleet of Thrasher fleet issues or Coalition Navy issues coming in, just other frigates, and we're slowly moving away from the warp in. So I'm fairly confident that even if one of two other frigates come in, I will be able to at least do something. He's shooting my drone, so I'll pull it in briefly and see and relaunch it. And I'm now actually shooting at a NPC that is putting a point on me, since I'm barely doing any damage and only my rockets are doing damage. And I'm figuring, well, might as well kill the NPC that's holding me here, so that if somebody else comes in, it's not keeping me pointed. But since the Rifter is staying within my point range, I'll continue firing at him. His tank is pretty tough. It seems to be a plated Rifter with a armor repairer, but at some point his nanite paste should run out and the armor should be slowly going down. But then a hawk comes in. Fortunately, as I said, we have already progressed some distance from the warp in, so at least have some time to respond. But the hawk is obviously Marco I've fitted, and it's coming at us at almost 4 kilometers per second. But then again, a hawk is not well known for its extreme damage, so I'm fairly okay with this. And besides, a micro warp drive fitted hawk can be scrammed, so I can actually keep it at range. So I immediately switch to the hawk while the Rifter just gets out of here. He doesn't want to be shot by the hawk by accident. So the NPC is still holding a point on me and the hawk is holding a scram, but I've got the hawk exactly where I want him. There's only one problem. This hawk has double ancillary medium shield boosters, and I don't do enough damage that he cannot reload between both, so he can just easily tank on one, and when his boosters run out he can use his second one while the first one recharges, and so on and so on. So basically I'm resigned to just shooting him until his cap boosters run out, which I'm speeding up a bit for your sanity, since I don't think you would be enjoying just me shooting at the hawk and the hawk scratching my shields for a couple of minutes. So as you can see, going up, going down at 4 times speed. And all the time I'm hoping that no other fleet is coming in. The hawk is slower than me, even though he has a heads of web on me. And he's even dropping the web and changing ammo even, but it all doesn't matter. We both have the right ammo loaded. I have EM for him, he has EM for me. So we're both hitting each other's resist holes. But yeah, this is a case of the immovable object versus the endless strength. And well, several minutes later, the Rifter pilot comes back in a Retribution, approaches quickly and helps me to fire the few last shots, and I finally get that hawk down after all his cap boosters have run out. And of course, I'm kind of wondering what the Retribution wants to do now. As I said, Retributions can do a lot of damage, and they're also, just like the hawk with its EM rockets, shooting at my weakest resists, usually. So I'm curious what it will be. And we briefly engage. But the Retribution has also a pretty good repair. So I'm wondering with 100 DPS if I can get it down even. Then again, with me in a close orbit, he should not be able to hit me very well, even though my sig blows up. In the end, he had an afterburner, so he flew away. In this next fight, I'm trying to tackle a Malediction, but I just missed a scram. But fortunately, he's coming in again. Only he has a double point, and what does a double point mean? It usually means the Malediction is not there to kill anyone. It's just there to tackle for a fleet. So I'm hoping I can able to kill it, but Maledictions are fairly tanky, and as I said, my damage is not too great, but yeah, I don't have to worry a lot from his damage, of course. And then is there Mr. Lunar Lazar, not very popular among us solo PvPers, because he's usually always using the same tricks, using his Retribution with fast tackle, and he's not really a fan of any dangerous solo PvP. He usually uses as not an overwhelming blob, but a small blob. But yeah, against 3 Retributions, shooting damage that my shield is worst against, it can't hold. And even though you see it's slowly going down, thanks to the large amount of effective hit points, yeah, once I hit armor, I will be gone very quickly, so I'm already preparing to warp out. Yep, that's it. Good fight, as you see. The thing is not invulnerable, it can be taken down, and of course, a blob can always take you down. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching.